Welcome to another edition of Whaling City Ghosts Presents, and we're here in the spooky, creepy Freetown Fall River State Forest, where a lot of history has occurred. There's much more history in this area than just the Pilgrims coming.
Oh, absolutely.
And the area being settled by the whites. There's actually like 20,000 years or more of history of the Wampanoags. And this forest was used by them. There are actually old Wampanoag trails that go through it. Now this next EVP, there's a lot of debate going on because we can't officially decide what exactly the spirit is trying to tell us. Chickamauga was a Native American tribe that lived down south, and there was actually a huge Civil War battle at Chickamauga. So we don't know, is this word important to them? Well, we've heard it twice in a couple of different investigations. How is this word so important where they keep trying to get it across to us? We don't know, because there are different possibilities here. A Chickamauga native could have possibly married into the Wampanoag tribe, or could it possibly be someone from the Civil War battle from the north? We did fight in the Civil War. So there is a question with this. And we hope that with more investigations, we'll get closer to the truth. I don't know why anybody would want to mess with my recorder. I'm here to communicate with you.
Maybe they don't want to.
There's actually some really interesting things about the Freetown State Forest, not just its history and the bad things that have been done there, but there's also some geological factors there. And part of that we know about it is that there was once a quarry there, and they were digging the granite and the marble out of the ground because it had a beautiful high quartz content. And a lot of people actually think that quartz conducts energy, can
And then you
store
add in the
energy,
water too.
and then add in the water that later filled up the ledge. And you've got another conductor of energy, per se, not to mention how many bodies they have actually pulled out of the ledge. There were dozens of them, and many of them never got identified.
That's sad.
The next one is one that I hear a lot. They love to say my name for some reason. The next CVP is actually Hey Luann.
Well, you're an easy person to love.
Oh, thank you. I think they do kind of like me a little too much sometimes. Now, this is an interesting EVP because what we like to see in Whaling City Ghosts is aware spirits that can recognize us, answer questions directly. And this particular one, they're recognizing Susan. Susan has nothing for me. Yeah, it's Blake. Can I see what I'm doing? And then off is on here somewhere.
By the way, the new radiation meters are really cool that we were using.
Oh, I love that meter. We actually have gotten a couple of new meters in about like the last few months that we're trying out in the field, and I was so excited. I can see everything. It's got a great little readout there. They're actually Russian meters
Cool.
that we're putting to use. One of them is just an electromagnetic field meter. And the other one, the one that was going off in the forest, is for background radiation. And it actually alarmed that night. I had a .46, and it was going up and down during the night, and that was very interesting to see. I've got all that logged. There was a very publicized case back, I believe in the 60s or 70s, and the funny thing is it's very similar to the childhood case that I had, and other people were hurt. Now, they studied it very closely, a bunch of scientists, and what they found, every time there was going to be paranormal activity, there were changes in the background radiation. And it's interesting because the world, the Earth, has a magnetic field.
Right.
There is a background radiation that is natural.
Right.
But to see, you know, in an open field with woods around it, why should there be such large fluctuations in the radiation?
Exactly.
There shouldn't really be. And the only other thing that I can think of does kind of go back to the ledge, and you know, like we were saying, that crystal quartz content could maybe have an effect on the radiation.
Oh, absolutely, and the water.
Definitely. We got some weird EVP out of the forest, and we do pretty much every time we go there.
We certainly do.
The first one that we're going to play was when we were in the first area, and I had settled myself down on some logs and had the recorder going, and I had a couple of our newer meters that night, and I love those. I watched both of them all night, and the radiation, the background radiation meter, had some definite anomalies that I don't think should have happened. But this first EVP, which is a whisper that says alive, was taken over there, and that area I liked better because the whippoorwill wasn't over there with his big mouth.
And we didn't have the truckers in the background down the road.
The radioactive, the background radiation. And remember, we want the background radiation. Color is not on our skin sounds like the time period when this area was having racial upheavals for some reason to me. But at the same time, you reverse this, and it says Luann still wants it. So is this a positive spirit? We can't be sure. This area had a very large involvement in the Underground Railroad. And to me, I feel like I've recorded a lot of different things that have to do with that time period. And I'm not sure if this is one of them, just because of how it reverses, where it is actually saying my name.
When I was in high school, I heard about Mary Lou Aruda. It really scared a lot of us because at that age, we're all out there, going out there, having a good time, hanging out and everything. And you know, you hear about these things and it's really scary.
Well, they actually found her tied to a tree. 15 years old, cheerleader from Raynham. It's a very sad thing. And those kind of things, I think, leave an impression behind.
Oh, absolutely.
Even if there is no aware spirit, if, you know, Mary Lou has crossed over, what happened to her is still there.
Right.
You know, left in the forest. I really do believe that.
That same night, same place, we caught an EVP, another whisper saying life. Now, who it is, why they said it, who knows? But I'd love to go back and find out.
Megan are just first names, and this is something that will frustrate us poor paranormal investigators to the end. We do oftentimes only get a first or a last name, and that makes it terribly hard to actually identify the spirits, which is something that we like to do. We like to know who the spirits are. And a lot of times, especially in a private case, the people who live in the home feel a lot more comfortable when they actually know who their ghosts are, that they were someone in history that actually existed.
Just gotta go get some mud.
I was still in high school at the time that happened,
Yep.
and along with that, everybody who is from this area can remember when the cult murders took place. That was the late 70s into the early 80s.
Yep.
And 3 women were actually killed out there. 3 people went to jail for the murders. But there were other things going on too in the forest. They were doing satanic rituals, because none of those women, as far as I know, were killed in the forest itself.
Right.
But they were offering animals to Satan, and doing a lot of things. They broke into some mausoleums and stole human skulls and human remains. They were desecrating some of the cemeteries out there. There's a cemetery close to Copycat that practically has no stones, and that's probably the reason why.
Yeah.
Now, you've heard the next one, and in forward, does that even make sense? When you play it forward, it says you're all effed up, and when you hear this, you're going to hear that it very much makes those consonant sounds so that you know what he's saying. And when you turn it around, it's even creepier, because it says got something for you, and that too has a lot of inflection and actually almost sounds better than the forward.
Yeah. And I wonder too if some of these are what was said at the time of what some of these murders did, or some of the victims went through, because it seems like it fits at that time a murder, or somebody being assaulted out there. It kind of fits. So I wonder if we're capturing like recordings of what had happened, or are they really talking to us?
I took it as they were talking to us, because there's one out there that's got a cocky bit of an attitude with the things that he says at times that we can't say on regular TV.
I heard that.
Now, the next EVP, I do think has something to do with the cult murder period, because it's a very strange thing. It says Edna Frank, and sounds, like I say once again, very innocent, but then you turn it around and it says either fear the goat or possibly hear the goat. If you look into this, you'll find that many times Satan is portrayed as a goat. There's actually more crimes that happened, and they're a little more obscure, so most people don't actually hear about them. But in '87, they found a transient man and believe he was shot out there because whoever shot him believed he was an undercover police officer. And in 2001, which is a little closer to home, there were actually 2 men found shot dead on Bellrock Road out there. So,
Wow.
And people, I have heard through the grapevine that, and we don't know if it's maybe people who are trying to imitate the satanic cult, that does happen sometimes. But they do find some mutilated animals out there every once in a while, and I do hear about that.
I do think there's a lot of copycats
Yeah,
out there
definitely.
still.
Next one is another one of those examples where you take the EVP and turn it around and it says something in reverse. And I was actually speaking to the spirits about the murders and asking if, who did it, if other people were involved in it and things like that. And the EVP has had to be done when you play it forward. And then you turn it around and play it backwards and it says not yet. So again, the strange EVP out of the forest. Because if you go to the forest during the day, it's beautiful out there. It's nature, and you can do a lot of things there. You can horseback ride, you can hike, motorcycles are allowed, they have picnic area, water spouts for the children. Go at night, and the forest becomes a whole different animal.
Yep.
As you're going to see, because we did actually all go out, and that was one of your first investigations as an actual investigator now. And this is Victoria Ferreira, by the way, and she's our newest investigator, and she's doing awesome, learning a lot. But we did go into the forest on May 2nd of this year, and as usual, we were recording. Something that happens a lot is we'll get an EVP and we'll take it and we'll reverse it. And it says something clearly reversed too. This next EVP, I Am No Man, is an example of that. It's very low, and then you reverse it and it almost becomes louder. And that's another strange thing, that they're sometimes more clear reversed. But in reverse, it says now they're ready. How about you, Carl Davis, you piece of work? It was very exciting to go back. We had David Ferrier with us that night. He's our interview guy. We had our videographer who's hiding behind the camera once again, Susan Swanbeck, myself, and we all went out there and we did some recording, and the whippoorwills were crazy.
Yes, they were.
Those things don't ever take a break. But even around that and the crazy wild truckers that we met, thanks for not running us over, by the way.
Yep.
All around that, we did actually get some very strange EVP out of the forest, and we'll get to it, but Susan definitely wins the creepiest one for her EVP that she captured. The next one that we're going to play is the one that Sue definitely won the creepiest EVP of the investigation.
Absolutely.
And she wins a cane for the month, poor thing. And there is a little bit of discrepancy between us on this, because when we play it, some of us are hearing slightly different things, and you're not going to hear it as clearly as we can hear it with our headphones on, of course. But when you play it forward, I think it says burn, and then when you play it in reverse, I think it says you burn. But either way, that's definitely burn, and it's just a creepy voice.
I think it's saying burn
one.
me and then you burn.
Yeah, really.
I'm hearing that burn me in there. But
well, you know what we can do though is we can put these up on the Facebook, and people can come and visit us on the Facebook and listen to it carefully with headphones and tell us what you think it says, because that's a big bit of controversy with EVP is sometimes different people hear different things.
Absolutely.
And that was even going on with one of the EVPs that we played tonight that had to be done. Sometimes I hear not yet, and then I'll play it again and I'll hear I'm the devil. So maybe there really are two messages in there.
right. So tell us what you think.
Definitely. We'd love to hear from you. Come on and visit us. We always have creepy stuff on our Facebook.
It's kind of funny that we've ended up investigating this forest so many times, because as a founder and someone who has experienced a lot of paranormal activity, some of it very negative, it's hard to actually put yourself into that case. And once we've kind of been exposed to it, we have come back. You know, there's that element to it that I would tread carefully for most people out there.
Right.
It is a little bit daunting at times, I should say.
Now, the next EVP, Cora June, we're not sure if we've got a full name there or a first and middle name, but you bet we will continue to search for her until we find her, because there were so many bodies that have been found, especially in the body of water close to the ledge, that were never identified. And if we can get any closer to identifying any of the lost souls in the forest, we hope that we can. The next EVP, Saw You F, it's a little bit threatening, if you ask me, because when you reverse it, it just swore at us. And then it's asking, aren't we awesome?
And you to tell me your name. So I think it was a successful investigation, and
I do too. It was exciting. It was my first real investigation at night, and I had a lot of fun. I was definitely not scared, but I was, how should I say?
Excited.
Excited. I'll say that again. I was excited to be there.
It's in your blood now.
Yeah.
We've dragged her into it, kicking and screaming.
I've been bitten by the bug. It's like, I want more. I need more.
It's hard because this, to a lot of us, is personal. Many of us on the team have had experiences and have always looked for rational explanations. I hope that you did enjoy coming to the forest with
Absolutely,
me.
always.
And we had to swim through the ledge and, walk those hiking trails. We even took a dip in the kiddie pool while we were at it. But it was a great episode. Glad to have you. You definitely got to come back, because
absolutely love it.
You give me lots of laughs, I have to say.
Good.
And, every day is a learning experience for all of us, and
It
I
sure
was
is.
glad to be out there. And we'll see everybody next time on Whaling City Ghosts Presents, because you never know where Whaling City Ghosts is going to end up next.